farthest the Fledderman family is able to trace its ancestral roots is to Gerard Fledderman. Gerard was born in 1630 in Ancum, Germany. Gerard was married to Aish Grogman. The Fledderman line in Germany would continue for over 2 centuries, spanning 7 total generations. The ancestors of Bernard Fledderman can be traced back to the year 1630, when they resided in what is now North Germany, until the departure for the New World in 1842. These dates can provide a glimpse of what their life may have been like during both the ending of the early modern period as well as the early years of the Industrial Revolution. Life for the Fledderman ancestors in early modern Germany most likely would have included long work-filled days with minimal time for recreation or entertainment. The early modern and Industrial Revolution periods were a tumultuous time in the Germanic kingdoms. The cultural and political shifts that followed the change in religious landscape led to continuous wars in Europe. Most of these were wars of religion. During this time, kingdoms in Europe were aligned with either Lutheran or Roman Catholic doctrine. Most of the kingdoms and principalities in southern Europe, Italy, Austria, France, and southern Germany, maintained Catholic beliefs and alliances with Rome and the Pope. The northern German kingdoms and principalities, such as the Kingdom of Hanover and the Prussian Empire, were in revolt against Rome in their adaptation of Lutheran teachings. This adaptation by the kings, nobles, and wealthy classes of the Kingdom of Hanover would have made life as devout Catholics difficult for the ancestors of Bernard Fledderman. Known today as Germany's breadbasket, the Kingdom of Hanover was a key supplier of grain and other foodstuffs for the Prussian Empire. Thus, many in the regions found farming as the primary way to provide for their families. However, a tenant farmer's ability to farm was at the grace of the landowners, the king, and the other wealthy nobles. The rights to farm a plot of land were often passed from the father to his oldest son at the time of death. It can be logically expected that the ancestors of Bernard Fledderman were most likely farmers, as he is descended from a long line of firstborn sons. Sons who did not inherit the right to the family tenant farm would have been forced to work as day laborers, with little opportunity for advancement. The ending of the early modern era and the beginning of the Industrial Revolution brought the opportunity to learn trades. Trades and their unions were often passed from father to son because the ability to enter into a trade was inherited and difficult for someone to obtain access to outside of family ties. It was at the end of the early modern period that Germany was fraught with droughts, famine, and widespread diseases. These circumstances allowed for many landowners to grow their property holdings, but for the rural poor and peasant class, it often resulted in the loss of family farm tenancies, leading to many German farmers being homeless and destitute. The lives of the German lower class during these time periods was one filled with hard work, religious devotion, and little else. Although the movable type printing press had been invented in 1439, many in the lower and farming classes remained illiterate. The administration of education had not been transitioned to the government, and to have access to education, the family would have required social and financial means. The social standing of a family was tied directly to land ownership, and in the case of those who did not own land, the ability to lease land to farm. Those who did not have the rights to be tenant farmers were of the lowest working classes and had an existence that offered little else than day-to-day survival. The link between land ownership and social status was so strong that in early modern Germany, the tenant farmer and their family could not engage in marriage without the prior consent of the landowner who held the tenancy over them. So while not arranged, it is almost certain that the Fledderman ancestors had to gain the approval of their nobles for marriage. The ancestors of the Fledderman family most likely found recreation in their minimal free time by attending church services and enjoying social gatherings with those from their family and religious circles. Entertainment of the period would have been through books, if one was able to read, stories and tales passed through oral history, and popular folk music and dance of the day. The religious turmoil that was brought by the 30 Years' War, 1808 to 1848, decimated the population of many German states and in some regions, many noble houses and landowners saw their territories taken from them by more powerful lords and kings. The timing of this could provide some insight in the decision of Ben's grandfather, Johann Bernard Joseph Fledderman, to leave his homeland, cross the Atlantic, and find a new start in America. The ruling noble or landowners of a plot of land that the Fledderman family may have farmed could have lost ownership of the land during these wars, either through defeat in war, financial ruin from drought or famine, or extinction of the noble family line due to disease, resulting in the Fledderman family possibly losing their rights as tenant farmers. Another possibility is that due to the cost of such long military engagements, especially one such as the 30 Years' War, which was primarily fought by mercenary armies, the local nobles and kings increased taxes upon the tenant farms, thus revoking much of the abilities that Bernard's ancestors had to earn a living and provide for their family. There is little doubt that the shifting dynamics of European politics and religion made the opportunity to own land and make a better future in America an enticing proposition for Johann Bernard Joseph Fledderman.